Hello, farmers, and welcome to another episode of the harvest season. I can't remember whether Dalan remembers how to intro this, so we'll just see how it goes. My name is Al.
My name is Dalan.
Sorry, Dalan, not Dalan, and we're here we're here today to talk about fishing
Cottage
games.
fishing.
Oh my
Cottage
word!
core? Question mark? Fish
What?
core.
So the interesting thing about this is, I've got Dalan. Sorry, It's one of these things where you always
No,
pronounce someone's name when you never hear them say it and out loud, and then suddenly
that's
you're
pretty
actually
much
having to
how
say it.
everybody says it the first
Yeah.
time, so I don't worry about it.
So I've got Dalan on this episode to talk about a game called By The Pier, which is a Playdate
Here.
game. And it's totally not just because Dalan is the only person that has a Playdate that wants to actually talk on the podcast. Uh,
I'm here for my very special set of skills, which are owning this device.
This is episode 3 in our mini series of Fishing Month. So,
Ooh.
just a couple of bits of housekeeping at the beginning. So, first of all, obviously, if you need transcripts, they are available in the show notes and on the website. Go get them. This is obviously, as this is Fishing Month, those who have listened to previous Fishing Month episodes will know that there will be no news in this episode because this is an out of time episode. Fishing Month is the month where I am away on holiday. So we've got all these recorded up and early, except one. The last episode might have had some news. The last episode was
Mm.
about Dredge. That might have had some news, but I'm
Ooh,
recording
I'm
this
looking
before
forward to
that
that one.
I'm recording this before that's recorded. So we'll find out soon.
Podcast time is weird.
Yeah, the listeners will have found out whether there was news in the last episode or not.
It's so
But
weird to be talking to you all from the past, the future. I'm not sure which it would be in this context.
uh, we are talking from the past.
Yeah, yes. Anyway.
And this episode comes out in a month and a half. So excellent.
Wow.
Um,
All right.
so that's why we're talking about By the Pier, because I wanted to do a special month of just stuff about fishing games, and we'll see how that goes, or we will have seen how that has gone.
This is this is terrible.
Look, it is late at night, and I am
I'm
very
sorry for
hot.
making you stay up so late for this.
Because we've been going through like 2 weeks of heat wave, which of course heat
Oh
wave in
no.
Scotland is like 23 degrees, right? So
Hmm.
get your mocking out there early. But I don't cope well with the heat.
Yeah, I am not a big Heat fan either. So
Good. Well, anyway, welcome, welcome, Dalan. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent.
It is now. I had to calculate the degrees from Celsius to know how much I should laugh at you. Uh, I will withhold my giggles, but
uh, okay, cool. So
just kidding. I
we're going to talk about By the Pier. We've got no news, so we're just going to go into Dalan. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? So, it is summer, and I've been playing entirely too many games. Uh, I guess I can talk about them. I wrote them on the doc. I don't know if any of these you've heard of any of these. I kind of abbreviated them.
I think I've heard of at least two of them.
Yes, at least two. Yeah, perhaps. Well, I'll just go in order.
Go
So,
for go
I've
through
been
them.
playing Honkai Star Rail,
I
which
have
is
not heard of this.
it's the only gotcha game I've ever enjoyed in any
Oh,
capacity.
interesting.
So you know Genshin Impact?
I know of it. I have never
Yes.
actually played
So
it.
this is made by the same company, Hoyoverse. I think they used to be called MiHoYo, but they kind of rebranded
Hmm.
because they're like, we want to be cool. Um, and what I like about this game is just like it's got surprisingly good writing. Um, Genshin was like not a Breath of the Wild clone, but the inspiration was definitely there, with gotcha elements and the story. I just could not care less about. This one is sort of a sci-fi thing, and I feel like it's a lot more compelling in like how it brings you into it, and like there are so many small interactable things. The thing that everybody likes to talk about, and which I will as well, is in the second like location you get to in the game, you can interact with every trash can in the city, and it will give you a unique piece of dialogue, like a different. You like
Wow.
the first time your character is like you have an urge to like shuffle through this garbage can and like loot it, but you resist it, and your friends are looking at you funny. And it just kind of goes in, plays straight the general player's urge to just look through and loot every container. So I think my favorite one was probably, oh gosh, what was the best trash can? There was one where you get a note from the garbage king about to stop like rummaging through the trash cans because these are his streets. Um,
Can I just point out how ridiculous a phrase, what was my favorite trash can?
there's a lot of good trash cans in that game. I don't know what to
Clearly.
tell you.
I have to say, it would make the older Pokemon games much more exciting if it didn't just say, you find nothing.
Yeah, you found nothing. You found a rare candy. It's like you sense that this trash can is ancient. It is the elder trash can of the city. What do you do?
I don't. I'm obviously not going to play this game. But
No.
what I find really interesting is, so if you go into their list of games on
Hmm.
Google Play, it just has like the icons of the different games. If you
Yeah.
saw the Honkai Star Rail icon next to the Genshin Impact icon, like on your phone, would you know which one
Mm.
to press?
No, I mean it's a pretty unified art style, gotta
It's
say.
not just a unified art style. It's basically the same icon.
Okay,
It's
I need
just
to
that
see.
it's
I
just
need.
that one character has one eye, left eye open, the other one has the right eye open, and their hair is a different
Oh,
color. That's it.
well. Okay. Oh, I see what you're.
Yes, it's basically identical.
They're very different. Well, I
Okay,
don't know. I
sure,
don't know
they are
what the current
different.
character
They may
is
well
on
be
the.
slightly different, but do you know which is which?
No, you wouldn't know without
Exactly.
context. Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is they should have a big trash can on the Honkai Star Rail one, or like a train or something.
Yeah.
I didn't even like talk about like what the game's actually about. I just wanted to let everybody know about the trash can. It's just like it's an RPG, which is fun. You pull characters and like the story's okay. I love that the text it just kind of owns that it's interesting to read something that was like written from a Chinese company because I feel like there's a very distinct writing style that the whole team
Mm.
has, and like I can't tell if it's like cultural or if it's like just their specific team has a way of writing, but it's very interesting. I
Mm.
like it a lot.
It's interesting. I wonder, it's had 10 million downloads on Google
Hmm.
Play. How have I not heard of this before?
I don't. It only came out like a few months ago. I
Wow.
think it was in the recent like Sony Direct or something. They're like, yeah, this is coming to PS5.
Huh.
Um,
I watched
so
that. I must have just
yeah,
ignored it.
very possible. Yeah, it's it could definitely come across as just sort of generic anime, but it has amused me.
Fair
It's,
enough.
there's a lot of care that has gone into like a lot of the side quests in this game, and that's honestly what I enjoy the most in a lot of games. So I appreciate it.
Yep. Fair enough.
But if you want to know what this game actually is, this I've given the most terrible description of it.
I
Like
mean,
look
let's
up
be
a
honest.
picture or something.
If people know what Genshin Impact is, then I'm sure Genshin Impact, but with better writing, will
Yeah,
tell them everything they need to know.
good writing.
If you don't know what Genshin Impact is, you probably don't want to know.
Yeah, RPG instead of just hitting things. Much better. It's less boring. I enjoy it more. Anyway, other games. Tears of the Kingdom. That's a good one. I have
I
you
have heard
already
of
beaten
that.
this game?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I've beaten it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't 100%ed it, and I'm probably not going to 100% it.
Right.
Even if you ignore the Korok seeds, I'm probably not going to
Right.
100% it.
Right. Right.
I might put some more time into it at some point. I will certainly go back with when they release the inevitable DLC,
Mm.
which listeners will probably know about because I suspect it might be announced tomorrow as we're
Yeah, that
recording.
would be. That is quite likely at the time of this recording that
Yeah,
it
we are
will be
recording what,
announced tomorrow.
14 hours before the Nintendo Direct in June, so
Something like that. I don't. I'm not gonna do more math.
no, we don't need to. But anyway, it's tomorrow. It's very
Mm.
soon. It's less than a day away. But yeah, so I'll probably play some more when that comes out. But yeah, I might go back. The thing is, right? Like the same thing happened with Breath of the Wild. I really
Mm.
struggle with games where when you complete the final quest is not completed. Like
Right.
you're like, I mean,
It
even if
feels
the world
uncomfy.
Yeah, even if the world was exactly the same, right? And even if you could go and still defeat them, right? I want it to say that that main quest is finished. Like
Mm,
having a quest that you cannot complete, just even if it says 100%, like if you do everything in the game, it will say you've completed 100%. That sure, fine, but there's still something incomplete. There's still a thing on my list that says incomplete. It annoys me.
mm. Yeah, I totally get that.
And this one's even
I,
worse because there are two.
yeah.
There are two that you can't get rid of in this game. And it's like they heard me complain about Breath of the Wild and went, how about we make him more annoyed by adding a second one?
We are going to mess this up for Al specifically.
So annoying. Anyway,
Oh
but it's a
man.
good game. I like it.
Mm,
And yes, I have completed the main story.
very nice. Yeah, I've been taking a break for a little bit, but I put in like probably like 50 hours into it so far.
Amateur.
I know. Yeah, no, absolutely amateur. It was funny though because I like, oh, I realized I didn't put it, but that's what I put up like played like a tiny bit of a Dragon Quest game the other day that I've been playing over the past 3 years, and it's like just got to 30 hours, whereas
Wow.
I beat Breath of the Wild 50 or not beat it, but played 50 hours of it
Yeah.
in like just a few weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about like halfway through the game, main quest wise. I've got two of the main dungeons or whatever, the different areas with the
Temples is, I
different
think.
temples. Yeah, yeah. Um, and I'm right. I think last time I stopped, I just made it to Terrytown, and I was about to go in and see what's going on over there.
I do like Tarrytown.
I mean, everybody loves Terrytown. It's great.
Have you been? You should also. You should make sure you do all the Tarrytown stuff.
Noted.
There's one very particularly good thing about.
Okay, cool. I will make sure to be thorough. I really enjoy the town quests. I haven't finished Hateno, but I did like everything except for I think the last quest, the mayoral election thing.
Yeah, I haven't done that myself.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was just
Yeah,
I just liked going around the town and like talking to everybody and helping them with stuff.
yeah, I definitely need to do it at some point because I believe
Mm,
that's the only way you can like buy a second Hylian shield if your first one breaks.
really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you'll have to I guess check it out when if you feel like you need to prep for the DLC or something.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they announce the DLC and I'm like, I must do more of this game. I think I'm technically at 54%
Mm,
complete, but that presumably includes all the Korak seeds, all the
right,
cooking, which both of them I don't really. I mean, maybe I
right.
would care about the cooking, but I
The
don't.
cooking might be fun because it's like you can see
Yeah,
all the recipes and scroll through
yeah,
them at least.
yeah. The the recipe book is annoying because it felt like it was going to be like, oh, you can just like press a thing and it will make the thing rather than having to
Mm,
select it. But no, it's not
no,
that. It's
no.
literally just a log that
It's just
reminds
a
you
reference
stuff, which
guide.
is useful and it's nice. It's basically the curry decks, right? Like,
I appreciate it compared to Breath of the Wild, which
oh,
had
sure,
nothing, and I was just like,
sure.
I'm not gonna remember anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's nice to be able to go like, oh, these are the ones I've actually done already. So then you
Mm,
can complete the side quests I could see myself doing,
mm,
finishing them off and
yeah.
whatever. I don't know why they have two different. They've got side quests and
I think they're
oh, what was
just
the
to
other
like
one?
indicate like how much of an undertaking it's gonna be. There's side quests, side adventures.
Side adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that well, first of all, it's weird they don't kind of describe the difference. I guess you just have to infer
Mm,
from the word. And secondly, they
sure.
are separated by shrine quests. Like it goes main quest,
Yeah, that is a little weird.
side
It's in
quest,
between there.
shrine quest, side adventure.
Yeah.
And then weird that then the memories is like in that list as well. But anyway,
I'm not going to question their UI decisions. That is not my field of expertise. It is a little weird though.
I will question them all I want.
Please do. Someone must.
I mean, it's not really like, we must take down. Nobody's questioning these bad decisions. No,
When is
it's still a
someone
very
gonna
good
take
game.
Nintendo to task about their terrible UI?
Nobody ever criticizes them ever.
Ever. It's never been done. We're the first.
Yes, Tears
Oh
of the
man.
Kingdom, good game.
Good game. And I feel like I'm talking too much about these video games, but
Nope,
we're
definitely
I
not.
don't know what else we're gonna talk about. By the Pier will be pretty short.
Yeah,
Uh, I'll talk about Hard Space, and then we can talk about Bloom, which I'm also playing, which
mm.
I have thoughts and I'm excited
it's
about that.
definitely relative. It's definitely relevant to the
Related.
podcast as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Hard Space Shipbreaker is a game I picked up. I don't know when, a while ago. It's you're just dismantling ships in space. It's a simulation where you dismantle ships in space. That's basically it. It's it was kind of stressful at first, but like
Oh, it's first
I've
person.
yes, it's a first person game. You are like physically taking apart a ship. You've got
Oh,
like a cutter tool. You have a grapple to let you pull things towards you or pull yourself towards things. You can't choose. It's simply like, are you heavier than the object, or is the object heavier than you, or your pull force? Um,
fair enough.
yeah. And then what's the other tool? I think you'll get bombs at some point. I have yet to use them at all, but they are needed for the later game introduces elements of like sometimes ships are like pressurized inside, so like you need
Oh,
to depressurize them, and sometimes you can't do that manually, so you have to throw a bomb and get away.
rapid depressurization.
Yes, rapid
That's.
depressurization
It sounds like the way that
manual.
SpaceX would describe explosions.
If you like just it's very much so. This game is set like in the late. Let's see, it's like 2,400. I want to say is somewhere that century. I think the game takes place, and it's like the future, and all of Earth is
Thanks for
ruled by a
clarifying. It's the
giant.
future.
Yeah, yeah, it's the future. All of Earth is ruled by a giant megacorp that you work for.
Of course.
So there is a wealth of commentary on maybe one company shouldn't own everything in the world, and that comes through in the dialogue. There was one of the writers on this game is someone I follow on Twitter, so I was like, oh, I can kind of see their style poking through here a little bit. I
Yeah.
think so. I've been enjoying just they sort of weave the story in by having your coworkers will like talk to you either in between shifts or just kind of at the beginning of the shift over the intercom. So that's fun.
Verified on Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Would
Fair enough.
recommend. I have not finished it yet, but I've gotten through the first act. I think there are 3 acts. I'm not sure.
Can you
There's
go
a
back and
story
replay
mode.
them? Because it feels like the sort of game that I'm not going to play it because I'm not a
Mm,
huge fan of first person stuff, like,
sure.
except in exceptional circumstances.
Right.
Um, but it feels like the sort of thing that you could just go back to and it be kind of, repetitive and
Oh, absolutely.
relaxing in that sort of way.
Yeah, besides the campaign mode, you can basically I think they have like a free play mode where you can just
Right.
kind of pick any ship to dismantle any,
Okay.
because there are like different types of ships in the game.
Cool.
And then also I think there's like some sort of like race mode where you're like trying to race against somebody else to dismantle it faster or something. The game gives you like shifts in 15-minute chunks usually. I don't know if it would limit to that. I haven't touched the mode at all, to be honest. But it's a cool option for people to have competitive ship dismantling.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then finally Bloom, which I just picked up yesterday. So I've not gotten super far in, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, enjoy. What
Mm-hmm.
without story spoilers, like
Sure.
how much have you
Let's
gone
see. In
through?
terms of here, I will open it on my Playdate right now. Let me make sure the the sound is off, so I'm not.
Because I guess there's two kind of main parts to this game, and one is like it's just a very simple farming game.
Right.
Kind of I think of the
It's an
farming
idle
very
farming.
much like Animal Crossing farming.
Mm,
That's the kind of level it is, but obviously the graphics are much simpler. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
there's the story aspect to it, which you can do as uh I will say as slowly as you want. Probably
Right.
not as quick as you want, but as slowly as you
Honestly, I feel like I've been going too quick, so I'm fine with that.
want.
I enjoy the sort of leisurely pace of things. Right now, in terms of upgrades, I have 12 spots on the roof to plant things.
Not
So
bad.
not bad. Yeah, I've got about like in terms of chat messages I've met, aside from like the shop and the horoscope a day and the opening tutorial, I have 7 people I've met so far
Okay.
that I have messages with. I've been playing the little what's it called? Star Shooter Hoshiko game, which is fun.
Yes.
I was like, man, this game's easy, and then I beat the first like record, and I was like, man, this game's hard. My
Yeah.
current
It's easy until it isn't.
it's easy until it isn't. Yeah, my current high score is 680, so
I could not tell you what mine was.
not bad, not great, but fun.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's a good game. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether I've gone back and played all of the update
Oh, yeah, because there
stuff
was
or not.
new content added,
There
wasn't there?
was, yeah. I definitely started playing it, but I can't remember whether
Mm,
I finished it. So I'll need to try that at some point once
yeah,
I've
definitely.
once we finish this episode because I'm not
Hmm.
closing
Pop it open.
I'm not closing By The Pier just now. It's
No. Might open that for reference as well. I think it's about time we go into it. Well, first, what have you been up to?
well, yeah. So not very many games because my Switch is still broken. Although hopefully by the time this episode comes out, it will not be broken anymore. We'll see.
I dearly
Um,
hope so.
yeah. So it's with Nintendo now. They have it. They are just go. It says it could take up to 20 days,
Wow.
which is just such a stupid. Whatever.
The way you
Um,
said it's with Nintendo now, it gave me like it's in a better place now vibes. Or we sent the Switch to a farm upstate.
yeah, yeah. So I've been playing obviously By The Pier for this
Hmm.
podcast, and there's another game I've been playing for another episode of Fishing Week that will be
Ooh,
recorded next week. I think I'm recording that. Maybe it's two
looking
weeks
forward
time.
to it.
I've lost track. Um, that's about it games wise. I've been going through the Mission Impossible films.
Mm.
So I am now up to date with them. The new one, I think, comes something like that. So been enjoying them. I had seen a couple of them before, but I couldn't remember how many. So I just
Mm.
like watched them all,
Watched them all.
which is pretty
They good?
standard for me. I started like properly tracking what I'm watching a couple of years ago.
Mm.
So there's a lot of things that I have watched that I haven't tracked. And this way
Right.
I'm like, let me watch all of this franchise and then it's all logged. And the next time when there's a new one out comes out, I don't need to go, oh, did I watch that? No, I have, because I
Yeah.
have them logged. So I did that for Mission Impossible. I did it for Transformers. Um, there was something else that I can't remember, but yeah, so I've done that for a few franchises this year.
Mm.
I liked them. I think there's a they have you seen many of them?
I think I've only seen like snippets. I've never
Yeah.
sat down and watched one through.
So what one thing that they have in the films is like there's technology that can like realistically create someone's face as a mask, and they also
Oh,
have these little things that you put on your throat and it gives you their voice as well, right? So that is something that it's not even a spoiler, right? That is literally in the first 1 minute of the film, the first
wow.
film, right? Like it is literally the first thing is somebody pretending to be somebody else, and the problem with that is because they did it in the first film, it means that they can't pretend like that technology doesn't exist. So I
Right.
think almost every film, I think every single film has at least one scene where halfway through the scene you're like, oh wait, that's not that person, is it? And then it's like somebody dies and you're like, no, I can't believe they killed them, and it's like, oh wait a minute, they didn't
Wait a
kill
minute.
them, it
Wait
was
a minute.
somebody else. Like every single film has that.
Oh man.
I won't tell you what scenes, so it's not give it. But
Sure.
yeah, like this is the thing. Like by the fifth one, I was already predicting that this would happen, right? Like because it's like they just do it all the time. And there's a few cases where like, oh, we can't use masks for this one because of this reason, but they still use
Hmm.
masks at some point in the film.
Right.
So it's like, oh my word. So it's,
Right.
I get why they can't just kind of ignore it because it is technology that exists, but it also feels like, maybe they could have had some plot reason to get rid of them and never use them again.
Hmm.
Because after 6 films, it gets a bit tiring having that same thing happen.
Yeah, just kind of wrote themselves into a corner with
Yeah,
realm of possibilities. It's something
exactly,
always have to account for.
exactly.
Oh
But
man.
overall, I think they're pretty good action films with
Hmm.
they're kind of they're one of them. I won't say which, just so it doesn't spoiler it. But one of them was like so many double crossings that I was losing track of who was on what side at any one
Who's
point.
working with who?
And it just felt
Oh
like, have you
man.
ever seen the Rick and Morty episode about the heist?
No, I haven't seen
No,
that.
it's a very funny episode, and it's just making fun of heists, basically. And it's like the entire episode is just constantly like double crossing to like a ridiculous degree. And it just felt
Uh,
like this film that it was like this is what created that episode, isn't it? It was
right.
this film. It was like so many double crossings.
My
It's like there
gosh.
was a space where it was like in 1 minute, I'm pretty sure they double crossed like 5 times, and I'm like, what
Oh
just
man.
happened here? But overall, they're fun. I enjoy them, so I'm looking forward to the new one. Or I will
Cool.
have been looking forward to the
You're gonna go see it, and you have seen it by the time this has come out.
yes, hopefully.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, I think that's about it. So only 25 minutes of what we've been up to. Uh,
I think they should cover it. Yeah.
should we talk about By the Pier?
Why not? We're here.
So we are the Playdate players. So we bought
Is that our
Playdates.
team name now?
The play. The Playdate
Uh,
players. It sounds a bit, yeah.
no,
Let's
there's not really a good name.
no.
We'll workshop something.
Playdaters? No, that's not even
That's
no.
worse.
Yeah, that is worse. We have Playdates. Because we are
Ta-da.
the people that for some reason spent money on this thing, which I definitely don't regret. Like, that's not sarcastic. I don't regret it.
Yeah.
But as I've said many a time, you probably shouldn't buy one, but they're great.
It's one of those things where like I don't know, I'm glad I bought one, but when I got it in the mail, it's like, oh, this is a nice surprise. But
Yeah,
it was more like a gift to future me than
yeah,
like
a nice surprise that I
a
paid for 18 months
conscientious
ago.
purchase. Yeah.
That's what I love about Kickstarter. Like, I have
Mm.
so many Kickstarters, and it's just like every couple of months, I'm like, oh, a new game that I paid for 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm coming around to that. I enjoy the surprise. Oh, it's a fun thing. It's I already spent the money. I don't it like it was getting spent either way, but
Yeah, yeah.
instead it's a nice pleasant surprise instead of
Well,
a
well, and the thing
okay, I
is,
guess I can spend money.
buying one now for later compared to buying one now for now, it's not like I'm going to play the game now anyway. I have too many
Right.
games, so
Too
I may
much
as well
stuff.
buy one for the future.
Absolutely. This is our pitch for the Playdate. Buy it. You're gonna want to play it eventually. Just just buy a copy. It'll get there and like I think they're mostly caught up, but like, a few months, half a year, you'll be like, "Oh, what's this?" And it'll just be a fun thing to try out. There's like I got so many games that like a lot of them I will probably never touch, but like even just today the day we're recording this bunch of games came out for the Playdate that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about going through and picking up a couple, so
Mm. Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about most of the games is they're not just like, oh, you could play this on anything. Like,
mhm.
sure, there are similar sorts of games with some of them. Like, there's a kind of Snake clone
Right,
which
right.
is changing things up. Sure, you could get, but it's not the same, right? And there's something really charming about it. And it's not. I would never suggest that this should be people's only games console,
No,
but it's a nice as an additional.
I agree. It's fun to have like I mean, I think that was a lot of the appeal of the DS too is like you've got two screens, what can you do with two screens and like this set of buttons? Like what kind of gameplay does that
Yeah.
create? And sometimes there was a lot of fun stuff that came with it.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Cool. So I guess a quick explanation of By the Pier. It is a Playdate fishing game, where I mean, well, let's just be honest about it. You use the crank.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean,
that's the gimmick.
they put a crank on this thing. They were asking for fishing games when they did that. I'm
Yeah.
frankly surprised there aren't billions more. Well, I mean, maybe there are, but I haven't heard of them.
uh, don't 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 get into that. Don't fall down that hole. I
Oh
have
no.
a list as long as my arm of
Oh
games.
no. I'm
They're
opening
both fishing
itch.io.
and farming games. Oh yeah, yeah. There's a tag on itch.io
Right, for Playdate.
for Playdate, and you can just kind
Mm.
of scroll endlessly through them.
Now
And
that I'm getting into Playdate more, this is going to start being dangerous, I think.
yeah, yeah. Especially as so many of the itch ones are obviously free or very very cheap.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah,
think this one
I
was technically free, but like they
yes.
suggest $2. So
So why not buy it? It's
yeah,
$2. Might
yeah,
as well.
exactly. Exactly. And I think the fun thing about that is like, oh, you don't technically have to pay it. But if you do, maybe give us this. Like, I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I'm not going to give you $2. I'll give you $5, right? Like, it was just
Hmm.
like such an easy thing to go. Well, if you're asking for two, I'll give you five. Like, it's such a
Yeah, yeah,
small
yeah.
amount extra, being such a low amount anyway. And like, I mean, let's be honest, this game probably isn't really worth $5. It's a
No,
very
probably
simple
not.
game,
But
but it's such a small amount of money that it's for me, obviously, I
it's
understand
worth.
everybody has
I think.
different financial situations, but it felt worth it to me, and I like to support people and small devs and stuff like that.
Oh man,
So,
there's so many cute little games on here. I'm gonna spend too much money.
what have I done?
Yeah, no, I was on itch.io already, so this was just kind of when you reminded me by Playdate existed. This was sort of an eventual thing that was gonna happen.
So it's a very simple fishing game. So you're on a pier. It's a side profile
Hmm.
view, and you press A to go back the way. I can't remember what this terminology for this in fishing, I'm sure, but I can't remember. And then you move you like flick the play date forward
Yeah.
and let go of A to cast it out, and then it goes in the
You
water,
wait.
and then you wait, and a fish nibbles, and then you crank that thing like nothing on earth, except kind of. But
Except
we'll get into
stop.
that. We'll get into that. We'll get into the details of that. But that's basically it, right? Like you cast out, a fish bites, you crank to pull it in,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like a whole bunch of different fish, and you get them at different points. Basically, you have to like put the line out at different points, which it took me a while to figure out
Mm-hmm.
that I got really good at casting, but that meant I got really bad at casting a small amount. So I was like,
Right.
oh, how do I get the small amounts again? You can just reel it back in before a fish goes on, and then
That's
you're
true.
closer in, and it was much easier once I realized that. It took me ages of just going like, I can't get a small amount anymore. I'm too good at this now. I can't remember how I was bad at it before.
Suffering from success.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I think I threw it out pretty far right away. I was like, oh, I didn't even. Okay, I guess I'm throwing it out this far. I guess cast. That's the word for it. I'm
Yes,
casting
cast.
the line this far. It's it's a very simple mechanic, and I like that it makes use of the Playdate's like gyro. I guess it can
Yeah,
detect that it's being moved around.
yeah.
Beyond that, I mean, what do we want to tackle? I know there's so much to talk
Good
about,
question.
but
Well, let's talk about the actual fishing mechanic
right.
itself, right? So, yeah. So we talked about the casting. It's fun. I can see
Mhm.
how it would be annoying if you wanted to do this a lot. It. I think I don't know if it's possible to like to cast it without flicking it. But I guess it doesn't massively matter, right? Um, but then once you've got it out, you're reeling in with the crank. This is what we kind of alluded to before, is that you've got a timer,
Mhm.
and the timer is different depending on the fish, I think, because some of them certainly moved faster than others, and you have to reel it in before the timer runs out. But here's the catch. Hey, there's a tension meter, and if the tension meter goes all the way to the top, your line snaps. So you have to like reel it in and then stop, and then reel it in and then stop,
Mhm.
and then reel it in and stop. And it's an interesting. I think the timer made
Back and
that really
forth.
stressful to me.
Mm.
Like if it weren't for the timer, I think it would be a lot less. It's certainly
Right.
not relaxing in that aspect of things. Like if you think about have you played Spiritfarer?
Yes.
So the fishing in Spiritfarer is kind of similar, where you have the tension meter,
Mhm.
and it's but there's no timer on that. So like you hold it to reel it in, and then you notice it's going too much, so you let go, and then you press it again when you think there's enough time has elapsed that
Mhm.
it's not. And it just if you do it correctly, eventually you'll get it in.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like if you don't do it fast enough and then pause for just long enough that it goes down enough, like you're not going to get it in, and that timer aspect is kind of makes that
Mhm.
stressful.
Right. Because if it reaches the end of the timer, the line also snaps.
Yeah.
So either way, it's just not gonna happen. There is it, and let me tell you, the snap sound of the line is something about it is just very visceral and
Yeah,
infuriating to
it
hear.
is.
It is deeply upsetting. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So there's also, I
Mm,
mean, the graphics are incredibly simple. Like it's a
yes.
stickman, um, but I think overall the gameplay is fun. I mean that's literally it. We've talked about the entire
Yeah. I
gameplay.
mean, yeah, that's basically the game. If you press the little home button on the Playdate, there you can click how to play, and it'll tell you how to play.
Which, by the way,
Um,
I definitely needed to do. I could not figure out for the
right.
life of me how to play
I
before
need
I
to
did that.
and there. Okay, let's talk about the how to play. Let's just talk about that first because it says this is the instructions it gives you. It says how to cast the fishing rod. You press and hold A. You swing and flick the Playdate forward, and then you release A right at the end of the swing flick, which is cool. I'm glad
Yeah.
it teaches. It's nice to have that page. It does not tell you the process of reeling in fish. So I was immediately getting fish at the very end of the screen, and I was like trying to reel them in, and it just kept snapping, and I could never get them
Yeah.
to come in. And I didn't understand what the tension line was. I didn't understand like what the timer was. I'm like, is the timer like how close the fish is to me, and is the tension line like I guess hitting the top of its bad. What do I? It was incredibly frustrating. I don't, but to figure out, I'm just like, I know I'm an idiot, but I I wish I just understood what I'm doing wrong here.
So
But
I
I think
so
I was just getting like the hardest fish right off the bat or something.
yeah,
Was the
so
main thing.
like I mean, probably important to say you can scroll down in that how to, and it does tell you
I
more.
tried and it. Let's see. Why is it? Oh my gosh.
So it does
I
tell
was
you all that information down there, but it could
I
do
was
with the
like, I'm sure there
tutorial.
must be more of this because I could see like a tiny bit of it rolling off. I'm like, maybe it's just glitched, but I was just pulling it towards me instead of pushing
Instead
it
of
away.
away.
Wow, I'm really quite clever. Oh man.
Yeah, I think it could do a better job of like it doesn't show you that initially, and there's no like kind of like interactive tutorial, which might be
Mm,
asking a bit much for a free
right
game.
for
But
this
it
ostensibly $2 game.
yeah, at least showing you the how to play, right? Like it took me a while to actually realize that there was a how to play thing,
Mm,
and then actually go into it and read it. And I obviously then knew how to play as soon as I'd read that. Like I didn't
right.
actually need an interactive tutorial.
No,
Um,
I'm looking through it now and it explains it quite well, quite easily.
yeah, yeah, definitely. There are definitely some fish that have still failed to catch. Like I've not played an hour. I've maybe played about an hour or something. But there are still some fish that I cannot for the life of me figure out how to do because I don't know whether I like need to do
I
like
think I
keep the
know.
tension at a specific point, but like every time I let go, it then moves further away.
Okay, I think I have a hypothesis on this now. I guess I'll have to test it, but it'll be kind of pointless after the podcast to report in. But uh, I see now that says the exclamation point means the fish is struggling and that tension increases much more rapidly. So before I would always do it then because I was like, it's gonna get away faster, is what I assumed the exclamation point means.
It does go. Well, this is the thing. That's when it does
Yeah.
move away. So like I've tried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've tried stopping when it has the exclamation point, and yeah, it moves
Yeah.
away from you quite fast at that point as well. So like I'm not sure.
It's a little tricky. Yeah, I've gotten every fish in the game except for one, I believe, and I don't really know where or what it is. But
Yeah,
sometimes I'll just can't get the thing that's on the end of the line, and it can be pretty frustrating.
there are three that I haven't caught,
Mm,
and I'm not sure what they are. I'm pretty sure I have one on the line right now. I'm definitely not going to get it in though because it's further away than the timer is. So yeah, I think what I'm saying is I think this game would be a lot more enjoyable, and I would probably spend more time playing it if it weren't for the timer.
right,
And it's like even if the tension like got more and more as you went along, so in essence there was a timer there,
right,
but it was still possible to do it. Like you just had to like do it really, really slowly or something. That would be
right,
more enjoyable. I just like this is about cottagecore games. We talk about games that are generally relaxing and that sort of stuff. And
right. And
I
this seems
think
like a good time killer, but I don't know if I would call it
yeah,
relaxing by
no,
nature.
no. And this is the thing, like because actually like Spiritfarers fishing, the one I talked about before, I think is generally quite enjoyable. Right, like I like the challenge. It's not just like oh, you press the button and you catch the fish,
Right,
right? Like, and different fish have different methods that you have to do to catch them, and that. I think that's quite fun. But if you suddenly have 10 seconds to do it, suddenly it becomes
right.
a lot less
A
fun.
little less fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
because it's all
I
about
don't know.
pattern recognition. But the problem is
Hmm.
that when you have almost no time to figure out the pattern, it just ends up becoming like
Right,
a battle against time, and it's that, and also the other thing about Spiritfarer is like generally you have roughly the same fish in the same area.
right. So
Um,
you can
I'm
base it on that.
yeah trying to figure out exactly where I have thrown my line and therefore what fish I'm getting. I can't
Right.
remember.
It's not a. There's no like lines to tell you like you are
No,
in this fish zone. You can
exactly.
kind of. It's an inference kind of game. I think if people enjoy like that kind of simple. Well, if when I'm here, I get this kind of fish. If you like enjoy figuring that out on your own with minimal context, it can be an enjoyable part of it. I think,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it
No,
combined
absolutely.
with combined with the timer, I think it just adds another annoying factor for me.
I
It's
think
slightly frustrating.
I think that's the thing is like what I'm not saying this is a bad game. I think at the core there is a really nice game loop here.
Mm-hmm.
The two things are I don't like the timer, and also it would be fun if this was like a bigger game with some
Right.
other aspect, whether it would be a kind of RPG aspect, like how Golf Story does,
Right, right.
or something like that would be fun. But there's a really core fun gameplay loop to this that I think the developer should continue with, and figure out some way to make it fully featured large game rather than,
Right.
I guess, a tech demo as it feels. But it's
Yeah, and if I had to guess, I would say this probably was just like a tech demo. Like, what can I do with
sure.
the
Oh
Playdate?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's the first thing that comes to mind. So
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna improve on this or anything, and I think that's fine. It's good for what it is, but it's good. Like, if there were next steps, I think those are probably the steps to take. Definitely.
They certainly seem to be let's build a this for the Playdate, let's build a that for the Playdate. Because
Right.
if you go onto their YouTube channel, they've got a
Mm.
roguelike deck builder for the Playdate, a Vampire Survivors for the Playdate, a Metroidvania for the
Uh,
Playdate. Um,
right. I was looking at the page, and they seemed like that was probably their vibe
yeah,
of doing Playdate kind of stuff, but I wasn't
yeah,
sure
yeah.
how much.
They've got a bunch of stuff around tutorials on building for Playdate as
Yeah.
well. So, I mean, that's fine. I'm not saying like they
No,
must. I
absolutely.
just it would. I think it would be. I think there's something really fun here, a core loop that they could take further if they wanted to. But yeah, you're probably right. They're probably not going to.
Mm-hmm. But it gave us something to talk about, so
Yeah,
kept
no,
Fishing Month
absolutely.
alive.
It's certainly a good fun one of your first games for Playdate sort of thing,
Yeah,
like giving you an idea of what the crank can be used for.
absolutely.
I think it's good at that.
If you want like a very basic game if you want to test like side loading something onto your Playdate and you just want a basic game, sure, why not? Go for it.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
Because this was my first experience side loading something on here, and I was like, oh, this is pretty simple.
It's so easy. It's I love what they did. Like it's not just like, oh, we let you do it. It's like
Hmm.
we support this. Like you
Right,
can do
absolutely.
this and we will give you good tools to do this.
Yeah, because there
Um
are like two main ways to do it, and I did both of them at the same time accidentally. I was like, I'm gonna try this, and I'm like, no, this is taking forever to download. I'm gonna like download it directly from my computer with a
ah,
cord,
I would never do
and
that
then I had
purely because
two of it.
the way to do it over the website is just so easy.
Oh, very
Um,
convenient.
and it's like, yeah, sure, if you want to play it like right now, then it's much quicker to do it with the cable. But then you have to find a cable, plug it into the laptop. Like you can use the
I'm
side
young and
loading.
impatient. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, you can use the side loading from your phone if you want, right? You go onto the
True.
website, you upload the file, and bam, that's it done, right? Like I love that. So it's
It's
like,
super
oh,
convenient.
here's the thing I might want to play, at some point, and in the next couple of hours it will download to my Playdate. That's great.
Yeah. Great for when you're bored at work. Just scroll through itch.io, add a few things.
What? Don't know what you're suggesting.
I would never uh, endorse being less than anything 100% productive at work.
Of course. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dalan, for joining me to talk about By the Pier, the second game Playdate game that we've covered on this podcast.
Hopefully, there will be many more. I guess I'll be here if you need me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's see. Maybe next year we'll do a. I don't know.
Bloom 2.
I was thinking
Oh,
for
like a
the summer
Playdate
month.
month?
I can't think of anything of a cow milking
A
month or
cow
something.
milking month.
Look,
What is that gonna give you?
do
You got
not
like.
do not pretend like you don't assume there's going to be a cow milking game on the
Okay,
Playdate.
there's definitely one on the Playdate. I'm just trying to think of cow milking genre games. There's this one, and then 1-2 Switch, I think, are the only cow milking games I've ever heard of.
Yes, I am
Oh, wait.
googling. There is a game called Milk the Cow. There's one on Android called Milking Cow Game. There are loads of these. Come on, let's not
Okay.
pretend like there aren't at least
Itch.io
four.
alone. Got plenty of stuff here. This was drawn with crayons, I think.
Wow, I don't know what to say.
There's a 2v2 competitive milking simulator. Also, milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk. But I'm pretty sure that's not actually related to milking.
There's a Flappy Cow game.
Oh, Flappy Cow. Okay,
Mm.
all right. We've got. This isn't going on in the podcast. This is fodder for a whole month of material.
I do want to play this one on Playdate called Factory Farming, which
Factory.
looks horrific because it's like obviously in black and white because Playdate games are black and white,
Hmm.
but like it's trying to do so much and it's like it's very technically impressive, but oh my word, it hurts my eyes to look at.
Yeah, no, you have to be. That's one of the things with the Playdate, I think, is you have to account for the visual limitations of the
Yeah.
system. You can't just put anything on this.
Yeah. I suspect they're doing what they're doing deliberately, right? Like they're not
Hmm.
just kind of doing it in spite of the Playdate. I think they're doing it as part of their artistic expression
Right.
because art can be horrible. Like that is
Oh my
legitimate
goodness, I've
art.
just opened it. This
Yeah.
is.
See what I mean? Isn't
Oh
it?
wow.
Isn't it amazing?
Right. It like hurts my eyes, but in a pleasant way, I would say.
I am very impressed by this
I'm
sort of way.
impressed. Absolutely. This is definitely episode material.
It even has 3 different save slots.
Whoa.
I know, right?
This is perfect. I can give it to my younger brother to play. When I was playing By the Pier earlier for the podcast because I was like, I'm gonna give it a second shot to see if there's anything else I missed by it. Apparently, still didn't find the how to play, but I gave it to my sibling and they like played for like 10 minutes maybe. And they're like, "Can I play other games on this thing?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So they just started going through my catalog of stuff I got.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
If people want to find you on the internet, where can they do that?
Let's see. Well, if you want to find me, I don't post a lot on Twitter, but I'm Valiant AMM. Actually, I haven't posted anything on that Twitter account yet, but I'm also on YouTube. I don't make YouTube videos right now, but maybe by the time this episode goes out, I will. I've got
You've
some
got a
old stuff
deadline now.
there. Yeah, I got a month to turn it around. Really, become an all-time YouTube content creator. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but I've got like, if you just look for me, you can find me if you want. Chill.
Fantastic. If you want to find me on the internet, I'm at the Scottbot on Twitter and also on mastodon.scot. You can find the podcast on Twitter at THSPod. I mean, I don't do a huge amount on there just now other than post the links to the
That's how you
podcast.
get your episodes. That's how you get them, I guess.
I mean, also in your podcast app.
True.
Crazy idea.
Absurd.
You can find all of the links from other episodes. Obviously, there's going to be one link from this episode. It's going to be the game. That's it. You can find that in our show notes in your podcast app or on the website harvestseason.club, where you can also find links to everything else, such as our feedback form and our Patreon, where you can support the podcast, get
Woo.
access to the Slack, and even get bonus episodes.
Bonus episodes.
Bonus episodes
Wow.
about whatever I can be bothered
Lots of
talking
stuff.
about.
A
some
lot of episodes.
some more odd than others. I think that's everything. Thank you again for joining me. And
Thank you for
until
having
next
me.
time, have
Have
a
a good
good
harvest.
harvest. The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode. Woo!
Woo. It's weird not hearing the music.
Yeah.
Feels like I've stumbled across something.
You're where you're not meant to be.
This is the forbidden podcast zone where none may enter.